Hey, I'm Anastasia. I'm happy you're here. And I want you to learn a bit more about me so you know who you're training with. I've always felt inspired by my coaches that I feel a connection with, and I want you to as well. So learn how I started my training journey and how I got to be this crazy flexible person. So I was a little bit of a crazy child. My parents put me in sports from a young age, and eventually I got put into competitive swimming when I was 8 years old. And I was always pretty average. I wasn't the best, I wasn't the worst. So that led me to wanting to get better. So I wanted to go to the gym. This was probably when I was like 10 or 11. Because I lived in a condo, I wasn't allowed to go to the gym by myself. So I'd make my grandma go with me. She would go down, pedal on the bicycle, watch this little cooking show that was on the corner of the TV. And I wrote myself a workout program. I would Google random stuff or look at YouTube videos. I wrote it all on a piece of paper and I would make myself do it every morning. So I'd wake up, do like 50 burpees, do pistol squats because my mom said for some reason that was the best leg exercise. And then I was going and doing that before school, every day at the gym, like a crazy child. And eventually, I found jiu-jitsu because my best friend at the time, her cousin was doing jiu-jitsu and he was like, you're strong, you like to compete. And I felt like I was not good at swimming, so I wanted to try this. During my first class, I was beating guys up. I was dying, but it felt really good to be aggressive. And I also felt so powerful that as a girl, I can just beat dudes up. I immediately was hooked. My parents, being very strict, old school Russians, hated that I wanted to jiu-jitsu and fight because they're like, oh, it's not feminine. But being the crazy, strong, angry child that I was hooked. To the point that I would skip class in the morning, go to jiu-jitsu, come back to school, sometimes skip class in the evening. I would tell the teacher like, oh, I have a doctor's appointment, or I just wouldn't show up. And I would go and train. And then I would also go after school and train. So I was training like 3 times a day, also strength training on top of that. Grades came super easy to me, so that's why it didn't really matter. I feel like we need to go somewhere more private where I can tell you the full real story. Vibe change. We're in rooftop of jungle TO, Toronto. After high school, I took a gap year off to compete full-time, devotedly. And it was awesome because I ended up winning the world championship. And it was everything I wanted to. It was my dream come true. Literally, I would visualize every night before bed how the medal would feel on my chest, how it would feel like being on the podium, and I ended up winning. But it was one of those moments where you don't want to meet your heroes or your goal. So that was probably when I ended up having my mini 19-year-old existential crisis. Won the world championship, but then it's not everything I wanted it to be. Of course, I'm super grateful I won. It was amazing. I feel super happy from that accomplishment and the skills that it gave me. But for some reason, I wasn't satisfied and I wanted to explore other things. I tried boxing, felt like that wasn't for me. Maybe I needed to do something more peaceful, more feminine. So I decided, let me try yoga. So I got my yoga teacher training, became a yoga teacher, was loving doing that. I saw another problem arise with it where so many people were coming every day consistently, but for some reason they weren't as flexible as they could be, or they were still experiencing pains and aches in their body. And even with my own body, I felt like I wasn't progressing as fast as I could be. I was never naturally flexible. So this is what also led me to want to do yoga and other things, because I wanted to create something that I never had before in my body. I was always strong, but I was never like those beautiful, feminine, flexible women. With yoga, it was very good in its own way for training the mind, for meditation, but it's not the most science-backed way of developing flexibility. It's only one style of training where it didn't include a lot of strength, and I saw that big gap missing, and I kind of missed doing strength training as well. So I was always really inspired by Ido Portal style training. So I did this teacher certification that was Ido Portal inspired. It wasn't actually by him, where every month we focused on a different topic, and one of them was mobility. And I was obsessed. I actually felt changes in my body and it worked cool skills that I was never able to do before. And I completely devoted myself to the style of training. It was also COVID, so there's not much else to do. And literally in 1 year, I got my front splits. In 2 years, I got my middle splits. and I have never went back. I ended up becoming a personal trainer, specializing specifically in mobility because I've never been able to do these skills before, and I literally thought I would genetically be impossible for me to do it because nobody in my family is that flexible, nobody's trained it before, and I thought it just would never be possible. But what I realized is I was missing the how. When you know how to train these things, then you just follow the recipe and you do it until you have these skills in your body. But if you don't have the correct recipe, you'll never be able to do it. So I went from being super stiff with my fingers inflamed in jiu-jitsu, my knees hurting every time I would lunge, to now being able to do the splits and everything cold without even trying that hard. It's just a part of me now. And this could also be a part of you. And that's literally why I made this whole YouTube channel, because I still believe there's people who have misconceptions about flexibility and mobility training or just think it's impossible for them. And if it was impossible for me and now I'm able to do these things, I truly, genuinely believe it could be possible for you too. So I want to not only inspire you and show you the things I can do, but I want you to understand how you can learn these things for your own body and apply this type of training. Whether you're an athlete who has injuries that they just want to feel good so they can keep doing their sport, or somebody who's always dreamed, like me, of making beautiful, flexible poses in these pretty pictures, you'll find something here that you can learn. No matter where you're at, as long as you start, you'll be able to learn these skills. So I hope these follow-along videos, exercise tutorials, or even some videos from my life and lifestyle inspire you to get started with your Swole and Flexy training.